What's good people? It's Immersive once again with an update on the traffic situation in Miami-Dade County. As you may know, the traffic here is bad, and there are two massive road projects underway that will dictate at least the next 20 years of transportation in Miami. I'll discuss them in depth in this video, speak on why I think more needs to be done from an infrastructure standpoint, and last, why Miami is so close to be considered an elite travel destination. Let's get started. Miami-Dade County is the 7th most populous county in the United States, topped only by Los Angeles County, California, Cook County, Illinois, where Chicago is, Harris County, Texas, home to Houston, Maricopa County, Arizona, home to Phoenix, and San Diego and Orange counties, once again, in California. These are all globally recognized cities that domestic and international visitors frequent. Notably, all of these cities have extremely expansive and often congested roadway networks, dependent on automobile travel to get around. Chicago is somewhat of an outlier since it was established as a railroad city in its early years and still has a robust rail system in place today, but still I'd argue that most of Chicagoland is largely car dependent. The greater Miami area is no different, with a gridded layout of roadways crisscrossing the region with notorious pinch points and crippling congestion. Roughly 86% of Miami-Dade residents use their own car to commute to and from work, and over 400,000 trips are made on one 10-mile stretch of roadway alone. This is Interstate 95 in Miami-Dade County. At its widest section, I-95 is 14 lanes across, including the two northbound and southbound express lanes. It is probably the most recognizable highway in Miami. All Miami residents have at least one I-95 story, and all Miami visitors remembered when they experienced I-95 and lived to tell the tale. This portion of I-95 is the busiest, from a notoriously sprawling snarl of concrete known as the Golden Glades Interchange down to the Midtown Interchange. It is a massively important highway link that funnels most of the traffic that comes from northern Miami-Dade County and southern Broward counties into the downtown Miami area, and also the points west that get congested at some of these interchanges. This link is also the most congested thoroughfare in Miami-Dade County, with rush hour traffic times ranging from 45 minutes to an hour for that 10-mile journey. Now, to remedy this daily congestion, the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, and the Greater Miami Expressway Agency are simultaneously working on two massive civil works projects with budgets that are approaching $2 billion. This is a massive bet on Miami's long-term prospects as a world-class city. In the 1950s, northern Dade County was mostly farmland. The first iteration of State Road 826, also called Northwest 167th Street, was also named Golden Glades Drive, and it connected US 1 to the east with US 27 to the west. As the area and population grew, more roadways would be added onto this intersection. First, US 441 was completed, connecting Orlando with Miami. This intersection with State Road 826 is the location that we know of today as the Golden Glades Interchange. Florida's Turnpike, then called the Sunshine State Parkway, was completed in the late 1950s and terminated at State Road 826. Shortly thereafter, the segment of the Palmetto Bypass Expressway that goes north and south began construction. This bypass would use Northwest 167th Street as the east-west segment to connect with the Turnpike and US 441, and that explains that the infamous sweeping 90-degree curve that's over by Miami Lakes. In the late 50s, a segment of I-95 would break ground on construction, and in the mid-60s, the Golden Glade Interchange was erected, connecting I-95, State Road 826, US 441, and State Road 9, Florida State Road 9. The layout that stands today has, for the most part, kept the same arrangement, routing, and design that it had in the 1960s. In the 1970s, some pedestrian walkways over State Road 9 were added to access the Tri-Rail station, and the extremely high flyover ramps carrying I-95's express lanes were added in the late aughts. Navigating this beast requires patience. There are 14 different entry points at the Golden Glades Interchange. There is signage at each of these entry points, complete with road shields and arrows everywhere, not to mention the daily congestion of the hills and the curves, the overpasses, underpasses, and extremely short merge areas. It's a rat's nest of roadways that's in desperate need of a redesign. After multiple false starts over the decades, FDOT finally broke ground on the massive and aptly named Golden Glades Interchange project in March of 2024. This project is expected to be completed toward the end of 2031, and the current cost is around $908 million, which I fully expect to creep toward $1 billion over the next few years. The project's website purports that it will, quote, enhance the regional mobility and reduce travel times, end quote. While I see this as a rather ambitious claim for a project that isn't completely demolishing and rebuilding this intersection, let's investigate what the project plans to do. One of the primary goals is to get that eastbound State Road 826 traffic directly to I-95 North. No one wants to head south to loop around to head north. There's another less frequented route that joins with the traffic coming off the turnpike that also goes north on I-95, but it's still out of the way. Another big aim of the project is to streamline access to and from the I-95 express lanes. For southbound traffic from the turnpike, the plan calls for an increase from 1 lane that goes to I-95 south to 2 lanes, and then there'll be a 3rd lane that will directly connect to the I-95 express lanes. I like that. Likewise, for northbound I-95, as it stands now, traffic heading either to the turnpike or 826 west, that's the Palmetto Expressway, has to leave the express lanes, join the standard traffic, and then take the ramp toward those 2 roads. The plan is to add an additional travel lane to the express lanes that can directly access both the Palmetto and the turnpike. Side note, if you thought the signage was crazy in this area before, I can't see it getting any better with these plans. The amount of lane changing and merging and exiting that I'm seeing right here in this demo video is gonna be intense, so just be ready for that. US 441, State Road 7, but we also call it US 441, northbound approaching the Golden Glades interchange. It appears that there will be a split just after the multimodal facility, aka the park and ride, for traffic to either go to I-95 north directly or to North Miami Beach Boulevard and US 441 north. That's how it appears anyway. And then this mess of an intersection here at Northwest 167th Street and Northwest 2nd Avenue is set to be widened and improved. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I hope that it's good. Something that I did not see in this presentation is the addition of a dedicated pedestrian walkway from this very major bus and train station to either this busy commercial district along North Miami Beach Boulevard or the area in Miami Gardens where the Topgolf and Walmart are. How can this be a project of connectivity if it only caters to cars? All of these improvements look to make driving more efficient, but not bicycles, not buses, not trains, and certainly not pedestrians. All in all, it appears to be a very big project that will hopefully clear up a lot of the vehicular congestion that leads to major stoppages during rush hour. Let's move on down south to the other massive project underway, a project nicknamed Connecting Miami. Here at the intersection of Interstate 95, Interstate 395, and Florida State Road 836, aka the Dolphin Expressway, lies a huge road construction project that may be even more ambitious than the Golden Glades interchange project we just spoke about. Now, this intersection, called the Midtown Interchange, has a couple of bad pinch points. The first is northbound on I-95 approaching from Brickell and downtown. There's only 1 lane for the left exiting westbound ramp towards State Road 836 West. In the afternoons and even on some mornings, it's like a battle royale here. Commuters come from a long day at work, coming from the Brickell ramps and off the downtown distributor ramps. South Dixie Highway is a parking lot during the rush hour, so most commuters opt to take the Dolphin Expressway for basically any area that's out in the far southwest and the far northwest quadrants of the metro. So anything south and west of the airport and west of Lejeune Road, for the most part. All of these people have to fit in this 1 lane. So not only do you have to deal with volume, you also have to deal with those who are too good to wait in line and want to cut in front of everyone, making the traffic even slower. On top of that, these lane jumpers will purposefully slow down in the through lanes to wait for a moment to cut someone off. It's ruthless. This is clearly a problem area because once you make it through here, it opens up for maybe about a half a mile or so. But let's focus back on this. That's one area, and then there's the eastbound traffic in the morning. All of those same people are coming into the city across a 3-lane bridge that clearly needs to be updated. So traffic binds up here, and those delays go all the way back to the Palmetto Expressway almost every morning. Also, for southbound I-95 traffic, you've made it through the Golden Glades, and then this area is where all of the metro traffic converges. And it causes slowdowns maybe 8 miles back or so. So these projects aim to fix this. The Connecting Miami project is set to cost $886 million. I heard that budget recently increased by $30 million or so, so I anticipate $1 billion is not entirely out of the question here either. Plans call for this project to be completed in late 2029. The project website claims that it will be, quote, connecting communities, enhancing safety, improving mobility, and advancing sustainability. Let's see how that will be done. Probably the highlight of this project is what's being dubbed the Signature Bridge. Now, this is about as Miami as it gets. It's big, over the top, meant to be seen from miles away, all about the presentation, right? Very Miami. Now let me clarify, that's not a bad thing as long as it's functional and solves the traffic problems. On top of that, this is a very impressive looking and apparently challenging project by itself, with each of these concrete sections hoisted one at a time, and then the concrete foundations that anchor the project are absolutely massive. The other highlight of the project is the double-decker overpass. Now, this is something really remarkable that I believe is the first of its kind in South Florida. I know Tampa has something similar with the Selma Expressway, and there's a cargo bypass ramp that's over in the Doral area, but something on this scale and this long I think is very interesting. If this construction works, I think that it should also be used for the I-95 express lanes in the future. These double-decker lanes are going to be used on State Road 836 and I-395 and set to carry traffic from just west of Northwest 17th Avenue, that's just west of the Hospital District, Jackson U Health, and the VA, over the Miami River, over 12th Avenue, over Northwest 7th Avenue, over I-95, over Biscayne Boulevard, and connect to State Road A1A, basically bypassing all of downtown via the Signature Bridge. This is amazing to me. There's an exit to southbound I-95 on the double-decker bridge, but to avoid all of these roads en route to the beach, I think is pretty awesome. Now, I know why this is being done. This is meant to cater to the tourists flying in. Miami is a tourist destination first. Tourism drives Miami's economy, so the infrastructure and the billions of dollars poured into it support that. This bypass, while it will likely ease congestion, is meant to provide a seamless link for tourists flying into MIA and taking them directly to Miami Beach, showcasing the Signature Bridge along the way. Also, for those tourists and those who have business in downtown or Brickell, the bypass ramp does that too. You can easily get to southbound I-95 via the double-decker bridge. Underneath the bridge, there's set to be a pedestrian walkway from Northwest 3rd Avenue in Overtown all the way to Biscayne Boulevard, with a bridge that goes over the pedestrian East Coast railways to keep that grade separation between pedestrians and train tracks. Now, in all this presentation and the project overview, something that I did not see, and I hope it's just something I overlooked, I did not see an enhancement or improvement to that westbound ramp from I-95 to the Dolphin Expressway that I spoke about before. This is such a major choke point that I thought there would at least be an additional lane added to ease congestion. I think what the developers are hoping is that traffic in downtown will go north by that Signature Bridge and take an on-ramp around there and take that toward 836 West, but my personal observations don't support that hope at all. Also, with all the traffic coming from Brickell and Coconut Grove, the southern areas, it doesn't make sense to access the Dolphin from anywhere except for I-95. So hopefully some upgrades will be made there. My overall take on these projects, I like that some work is being done to address the awful traffic situation in Miami-Dade County. It shows that elected officials know that it's a problem and that they are dedicating some time and funding to tackle it. But with as much money that's going to these two projects alone, like this is almost $2 billion going to two roadworks projects. Now I'm hopeful that once these two projects are completed, traffic will be largely alleviated, at least on Interstate 95 and the roads that feed into them. But the Golden Glades project website admits more than 400,000 vehicles pass through daily, and traffic is projected to increase by 50% by 2040. These two projects are expected to be completed around 2030, a few years after that. If the math holds, that would mean that they would be handling roughly 500,000 vehicles a day. By 2040, is it reasonable to assume that they can carry over 600,000 vehicles daily? And this doesn't even consider other projects that likely have to be considered across the Miami Metro. At this point, I think it's obvious that adding one more lane doesn't solve the problem. But efficient mass transit is something that should be considered, even if it's not something as robust and like heavy rail like Tri-Rail or Amtrak. An automated people mover similar to what's already in place as Miami's Metro Mover would solve quite a few problems. Also, if the Metro Rail was extended, the infrastructure is kind of already in place, I'm certain that it would bring about some ease to Miami's traffic woes. I'll likely touch on these in future videos, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Miami has so much to offer. It's a culturally rich city with excellent connectivity with two large airports, Miami International and Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International nearby. The South Florida region is ecologically diverse. You've got the world-renowned Florida Everglades to the west, the vast Atlantic Ocean to the east, and the brackish estuaries and marshes in between. The Miami area is one of a handful of U.S. metros with all four of the major sporting teams in one place. You got the Dolphins, the Heat, the Marlins, and Panthers in nearby Sunrise. Major League Soccer's investment in Lionel Messi is essentially the face of football in the United States in the run-up to FIFA's World Cup 2026, along with Inter Miami CF building a new stadium, Freedom Park, all point to a city that businesses and people have a lot invested in. Formula One just extended the Miami Grand Prix through 2040. The Miami Open is played here every March. Art Basel's a big draw. Ultra, Rolling Loud, those concerts, huge draws. And those are just the events. Miami is also growing at a rapid pace with massive residential and commercial skyscrapers popping up every 3 to 6 months. I mean, it at least feels that way. If you go back on the Google Maps Street View to see what the Brickell skyline looked like in the early aughts, what a change. So it's safe to say that Miami continues to grow and that growth does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon. However, I'd say that there are two major existential concerns looming large for Miami. The first is climate change. Miami is a city whose entire essence is based around its coastal location. Any thoughts of flooding, sea rise, or hurricanes, not those hurricanes, are intensely alarming. There are already so many videos about that topic, so I won't go into depth there. The other concern is Miami's traffic. Being largely car dependent, stuck in staggering traffic, all in a metro area that's about 20 miles at its widest, but over 100 miles north and south, Miami's future as a world-class destination depends on how easy it is for visitors and residents to move around for work and for play. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me ramble on and on about Miami and its traffic issues. I plan to have an ongoing series about this topic called Miami Mapped, so make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment about what you think can be done to solve the worsening traffic issue. Drive safely, take care of yourself, and bye for now.